Hello and welcome to the John Buchan Story Museum. Today I'm very pleased to introduce Lady Stewartby and her choice of favourite items on show at the museum. Deborah is John Buchan's granddaughter and we are very fortunate to have her as an active member of the museum's management committee. The following slides are pictures taken at the museum and Deborah will give the background to each one and why they rank in her list of favourites. Over to you, Deborah.
I love this photograph of my grandfather holding his new daughter. Like so many first-time fathers, not only is JB holding Alice like a tea tray, but his face suggests he fears at any moment the bundle might explode. My grandmother is poised, ready to catch the baby if the worst should happen. John Buchan had a brother, Alistair, to whom he was devoted, who was killed at the Battle of Arras on the 9th of April 1917. This letter is from the nurse who attended Alistair when he was brought into the casualty clearing station. What astonishes me, apart from Miss Reed's thoughtfulness, is that in the midst of that dreadful battle, the noise, the confusion, the suffering and death, Nurse Reed made time to write to Alistair's mother. This comes from JB's notebook, painted on his honeymoon. JB took Susan to Chamonix to climb, assuming she shared his enthusiasm. She did not. Susan suffered from vertigo, and when the guide urged her to mettez vos pieds dans la vide, madame, mettez vos pieds dans la vide, she rebelled. As a sorry present, JB took her to the Venice Lido, and in the museum is a charming photograph of John and Susan in their bathing suits, fashionable in 1907. This is an historic and tragic declaration. On September the 9th, 1939, JB was woken at midnight and dressed in the uniform of Commander-in-Chief of the Canadian Forces, he took Canada into the Second World War. This can be seen in the museum, along with other important items from his time as Governor-General. JB is best known to many as the author of the 39 Steps. The climax to this thrilling tale of espionage and murder is set on the south coast, on the North Foreland. These are the steps leading down to the beach, up and down which little Alice ran, calling out, "Daddy, there are 39 steps." When the wooden steps were demolished in the 60s, the contractors sent this piece of the 39th step to my grandmother, and it is one of the most popular exhibits in the museum, the John Buchan Story. Also in the museum are represented JB's brother and sister, Walter and Anna. Of the 6 children, the only 2 to outlive JB. This portrait of Walter, who was town clerk of Peebles from 1906 to 1948, is by an Edinburgh artist better remembered for his photographs. But for the alertness of Murray Charters, a partner in the long-gone firm of J&W Buchan, writers to the signet, this portrait would have been lost when the firm's building was being renovated. Mr. Charters noticed it in a skip and kindly presented it to the museum, and you can see it hanging in the museum along with items connected with his sister Anna. JB and Walter's sister Anna also wrote. She wrote under the pen name of O. Douglas, and here are her books on display. Pink Sugar, Penny Plain and Prowsford are loosely set in Peebles, and although now out of print, the JB story can often access good quality second-hand copies. In the Canada display in the museum is this letter from my grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, written after the royal visit to Canada by King George VI and his Queen in May 1939. Apart from gratitude for the kindness shown to the royal couple, it is an amusing but also perspicacious letter, and frank about the threat of war. But I like it so much because in July 2013, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II came to visit the JB Museum. And as she neared the cabinet, she said, "I know that handwriting." You can read much more about the seminal tour in my sister's book, Beyond the 39 Steps, now out in paperback and available from the John Buchan Story. Finally, a photograph of my grandparents with their children, Alice with Johnny on her left and Alistair in front, and at the far right, my father William. His Aunt Anna, O. Douglas, featured my father as Bad Bill in her novel Pink Sugar, and believing that she had traduced his character in the book, she promised him a farthing for every copy sold. In the first year after publication, William received a cheque for £30, which is 2,880 copies.
Thank you very much for listening, and many thanks to Deborah for the insight into her favourites. As I mentioned earlier, all these items are on show at the museum, and we hope sometime in the future to welcome you to the museum to see these and the many other items on display telling John Buchan's story. Bye for now.